The Galactic Confederation, a union of 17 technologically advanced species, had been monitoring the isolated blue planet for decades. Earth was classified as a Level 2 civilization, capable of regional space travel but unready for first contact. Their assessment changed dramatically when human scientists detected and successfully interpreted the Confederation's long-range scanning signals. Admiral Kira Chen stood motionless on the bridge of the Resilience, Earth's most advanced warship. Her dark eyes narrowed as she studied the holographic display, showing unknown vessels at the edge of the solar system. The ships matched no known human design. After 20 years of military service, she finally faced the scenario that humanity had both feared and anticipated. First contact with an alien civilization. Transmission from Houston Command confirmed. Admiral, Lieutenant Santos reported, his voice steady despite the tension filling the command deck. Deep space telescopes have verified the readings. We count 17 vessels of varying configurations holding position just beyond Neptune's orbit. Chen nodded, her mind racing through protocols established for this very situation. Earth's United Defense Council had spent generations preparing for this moment, building a fleet that could represent humanity from a position of strength rather than vulnerability. Deploy the Sentinel drones, Chen ordered. Full spectrum analysis, passive mode only, and contact Dr. Nakamura's team. I want real-time translation capabilities standing by. The command deck hummed with controlled urgency as officers carried out her orders. Chen turned to her second-in-command, Commander Jackson, who had served with her since the Mars campaigns. What do you think, David? Are they waiting for an invitation? Jackson studied the alien formation. Their positioning suggests caution, not aggression. They could have approached Earth directly if they wanted to make a statement. Or they're assessing our defensive capabilities before committing, Chen countered. She tapped her console, bringing up Earth's current military deployment. Most of humanity's warships were scattered throughout the solar system on routine patrols. Individually impressive, but not a unified show of force. The quantum communicator chimed, signaling an incoming priority message. The stern face of General Wei appeared, representing the United Defense Council. Admiral Chen, you're seeing what we're seeing. Yes, General. 17 vessels of non-human origin. They're maintaining position for now. The Council is divided on how to proceed. Wei explained. Some advocate waiting for them to approach Earth where our orbital defenses are strongest. Others want to hide our military capabilities until we understand their intentions. Chen's expression remained neutral, but her mind had already formulated a plan. Permission to offer a third option, sir. The general raised an eyebrow. Proceed. I propose we meet them halfway. The Resilience leads a diplomatic envoy to Jupiter's orbit, while we quietly assemble our fleet behind Saturn, out of their immediate detection range. We show enough strength to earn respect without revealing our full capabilities. Wei was silent for a moment, then nodded. A calculated risk. The Council will approve it. As the communication ended, Chen issued new orders. Within minutes, the Resilience began preparations for departure, while encrypted quantum signals activated Protocol Umbra, the silent mobilization of Earth's scattered defense fleet. Lieutenant Wang, their strategy officer and stealth systems specialist, approached with a tablet. Admiral, I've mapped the approach vector that will give us the best tactical advantage while appearing purely diplomatic. Chen studied the proposed course. The light-bending system is ready. Wang nodded. The Mobius field is operational. The rest of the fleet will be virtually invisible as they assemble behind Saturn. 6 hours later, the Resilience led a small formation of 5 ships toward Jupiter, while 30 additional warships silently moved into defensive positions, cloaked by technology that bent light around their massive hulls. When the human diplomatic formation appeared near Jupiter's orbit, the alien vessels reacted with detectable electromagnetic spikes that suggested surprise. Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Galactic Confederation had expected to find a developing civilization tentatively reaching beyond its planet. Instead, they found humanity waiting for them, ready and watching. First contact had begun, not on the aliens' terms, but on humanity's. Admiral Chen adjusted her formal dress uniform as the shuttle approached the neutral meeting module suspended in space between the human and alien fleets. Through the viewport, she could see the strangely beautiful alien vessels, organic curves, and crystalline structures unlike the practical, angular designs of human ships. Final approach, announced the pilot as the shuttle docked with a gentle thud. Chen turned to her small delegation. Dr. Elena Kovalova, Earth's leading quantum physicist, Lieutenant Commander Raman, intelligence specialist, and Dr. Marcus Powell, exobiology expert. Remember, Chen said, we're representatives of all humanity today. Our primary goal is peaceful contact, but gather as much information as you can. The airlock cycled open, revealing a chamber designed for multiple atmospheric compositions. The far door slid aside, and Chen got her first glimpse of the alien representatives. The delegation was more diverse than humanity had imagined. The apparent leader stood on four jointed limbs, an insectoid being with compound eyes that shimmered with iridescent colors. Beside this figure stood a humanoid entity composed of crystalline structures that refracted light into rainbow patterns. Another delegate appeared to be gaseous, contained within an advanced environmental suit. Chen stepped forward, her translator device ready. I am Admiral Kira Chen of the United Earth Defense Fleet. On behalf of humanity, we welcome peaceful contact. The insectoid being's mandibles moved in patterns that the translator processed. High Counselors Rav of the Arthean species, representing the Galactic Confederation. Your interception of our approach was unexpected. Chen maintained a diplomatic smile. We've been monitoring our solar system carefully. Your arrival was of great interest to us. Zrav's compound eyes shifted, focusing on different members of the human delegation. According to our assessments, your civilization shouldn't possess detection technology capable of identifying our ships at that distance. Your development has progressed remarkably quickly. Dr. Kovalova stepped forward at Chen's subtle nod. Scientific progress isn't always linear, Counselor. Human innovation often comes through unexpected connections between disciplines. The crystalline being, introduced as Elder Prisma of the Lumens, emitted pulses of light that the translator converted. We've observed 17,000 developing civilizations, and yours is among the few that pursued multiple competing technological paths simultaneously rather than optimizing a single approach. The meeting moved to a conference area where holographic displays allowed both delegations to share scientific information. Dr. Kovalova explained humanity's discovery of quantum field manipulation, the breakthrough that had revolutionized Earth's propulsion and detection systems. It was actually a laboratory accident, she explained, displaying schematics that had been carefully edited to share knowledge without revealing critical details. A graduate student's error in calculating particle alignment created an unexpected quantum resonance pattern. Instead of dismissing it as a failure, we investigated the anomaly. The gaseous vaporin delegate, introduced as flow director mist, produced sounds like wind through reeds. Fascinating. Our species spent 3 centuries methodically working towards similar technology through predictive models. The idea of discovering it through an accident is disquieting. Throughout the scientific exchange, Lieutenant Commander Raman carefully observed the aliens' reactions, his enhanced neural implants, invisible to external scans, recorded micro-expressions, and subtle electromagnetic patterns. He noticed how the Artheans tensed when certain human capabilities were mentioned, while the lumens showed increasing light emissions that suggested excitement or interest. The delegation from Earth presented humanity as curious, innovative, but ultimately peaceful, while subtly demonstrating their technological sophistication. Admiral Chen carefully navigated the conversation away from specific military capabilities, instead emphasizing cultural exchange and scientific cooperation. As the initial meeting concluded, High Counselors Rav extended what appeared to be a ceremonial invitation. The Confederation would like to establish ongoing diplomatic relations with Earth. Perhaps you would permit a small delegation to visit your planet." Chen smiled diplomatically. "We would be honored to discuss such arrangements. For now, we've prepared accommodations aboard the Resilience if you care to continue our discussions there." What went unspoken was clear to both parties. Neither fully trusted the other yet, but the dance of diplomacy had begun. As they prepared to board the shuttle, returning to the Resilience, Raman caught Chen's eye and gave an almost imperceptible nod. He had detected something important in the aliens' behavior, something that would require private discussion once they were back aboard their ship. First contact was proceeding smoothly on the surface, but beneath the diplomatic pleasantries, both sides were carefully measuring the other's strengths and intentions. "They're following a predetermined script," Lieutenant Commander Raman said quietly as the senior staff gathered in the Resilience's secure briefing room. The alien delegation had been escorted to their quarters, allowing the human team to speak freely. Admiral Chen leaned forward. "Explain." Raman activated a holographic display showing patterns of light pulses emitted by the Lumen delegate and subtle electromagnetic frequencies from the Arthean's exoskeleton. "My neural implants detected communication patterns that our translators didn't catch. When we mentioned certain technologies, there were consistent reactions that suggest they're categorizing us according to some established protocol." "A threat assessment," Commander Jackson suggested. "Precisely," Raman nodded. "And based on the patterns, we're triggering some kind of alert threshold, particularly when Dr. Kovalova mentioned quantum field manipulation." Dr. Kovalova frowned. "That's decades-old technology for us. Nothing cutting-edge. To them, it might represent a specific developmental milestone," Chen said. "The question is why they care." The quantum communicator chimed with an urgent message from Earth. Dr. Sophia Nakamura's face appeared, her expression tense. "Admiral, we've made a breakthrough in deciphering their background communications. There's a faction within their delegation that's transmitting reports outside the official channels." "Can you identify which species?" Chen asked. "The reptilian ones. The Drakari. According to what we've decoded, they're part of a security assessment branch of the Confederation. They've been using a classification system for emerging civilizations, and they've just upgraded Earth from potential ally to potential threat status." The room fell silent as implications settled in. Chen turned to Raman. "How are they communicating without our knowledge?" "Quantum entanglement, most likely," Raman replied. "We wouldn't detect conventional transmissions." Nakamura nodded on screen. "That's correct. We only caught it because we've been monitoring quantum field fluctuations around their ships. The Drakari are sending detailed scans of our technology to vessels waiting beyond Neptune." Chen's expression hardened. "So the diplomatic mission is partly a cover for intelligence gathering." "It appears so," Nakamura confirmed. "And there's more. We've partially decoded their classification protocol. They evaluate species based on technological advancement, but equally importantly, on predictability and conformity to expected development patterns. And humanity doesn't fit their model," Chen concluded. "We're an anomaly," Dr. Powell added. "Most species apparently follow predictable evolutionary and technological paths. Our tendency to make intuitive leaps and pursue multiple competing technologies simultaneously makes us unpredictable." Chen stood, pacing the room as she processed this information. "We need to control what they learn about us while gathering as much intelligence as possible." Raman's console pinged with a notification. "Admiral, the Drakari representative, Vorex, has requested a private tour of our propulsion systems. Claims it's for compatibility assessment for future joint operations." A thin smile crossed Chen's face. "Let's give Ambassador Vorex a tour then. Dr. Kovalova, prepare a demonstration of our older propulsion systems. Nothing classified. Commander Jackson, discreetly increase security around sensitive areas." "And what about the other delegates?" Dr. Powell asked. "We maintain diplomatic cordiality with all of them," Chen replied. "But we modify our approach. If they're assessing us, we'll give them something to assess." She turned to her communications officer. Schedule a routine training exercise near Europa tomorrow. Invite the entire delegation to observe. As the meeting concluded, Chen held Raman back. Your assessment of the Drakari. Hierarchical thinkers. They value order and control. Our unpredictability disturbs them on a fundamental level, he answered. But not all the delegates share their concern. The Lumens, particularly, showed genuine interest rather than alarm when we discussed our scientific methods. Chen nodded. Then we need to drive a wedge between those factions. If the Confederation isn't as unified as they present themselves, that gives us leverage. A dangerous game. Admiral. First contact was never going to be simple, Chen replied, her gaze shifting to the viewport where the alien vessels hung against the backdrop of Jupiter's swirling clouds. We just need to ensure we're the ones setting the rules. Outside in the corridor, unbeknownst to the humans, microscopic surveillance technology deployed by the Drakari struggled to penetrate the asterisk resilience's asterisk quantum shielding, catching only fragments of their conversation, enough to confirm Vorex's suspicions that humans were more formidable than the Confederation had anticipated. Europa's icy surface gleamed beneath the resilience as Admiral Chen led the alien delegation into the observation deck. Floor-to-ceiling transparent aluminum offered a panoramic view of Jupiter's magnificent storm systems and the frozen moon below. Our training exercises are conducted regularly to maintain crew readiness, Chen explained as technicians prepared refreshments suitable for each species' biology. We thought you might find our maneuvering techniques interesting from a scientific perspective. High Counselor Zrav's compound eyes reflected the light from Jupiter. Most generous of you, Admiral. The Confederation values transparency between potential allies. Chen caught Ramen's subtle glance. The word potential hadn't escaped either of their notice. The Drakari representative, Vorex, positioned himself closest to the viewport, his scaled skin shifting colors slightly as he studied the formation of 5 human vessels moving into position. Rather small vessels for military craft, he remarked, mandibles clicking in what Raman had identified as a gesture of dismissal. Size isn't everything, Ambassador Vorex, Chen replied with a diplomatic smile. We've found efficiency often trumps scale. She nodded to her communications officer, who transmitted the exercise commencement signal. What followed stunned the alien observers into silence. The 5 human ships, previously moving at conventional speeds, suddenly executed a synchronized maneuver that defied known physics. They formed a perfect pentagon formation, then rotated through 3-dimensional space in a pattern that left phantom images trailing behind them, a result of their quantum displacement drives briefly shifting them partially out of conventional space-time. Impossible, whispered the Vaporan delegate, mist swirling rapidly inside its containment suit. Those vessels are manipulating dimensional variants without tearing apart. Dr. Kovalova stepped forward. The quantum displacement drive creates a localized bubble of altered space-time. The ships aren't actually moving faster than light. They're briefly existing in multiple potential states simultaneously. The crystalline lumen delegate, Elder Prisma, emitted rapid pulses of light that the translator interpreted as excitement. Fascinating. Our scientists theorized such technology, but concluded it would be unstable for vessels of that mass. That was our initial challenge, Kovalova acknowledged. We solved it by distributing the quantum field generators throughout the hull, rather than using a centralized system. Chen watched Vorex carefully. The Drakari's scales had darkened, a sign of agitation, according to Dr. Powell's xenobiology briefing. An impressive display, Zrav said. Though one wonders why a peaceful civilization would need such advanced maneuvering capabilities for defensive vessels. Humanity has always explored the practical applications of our scientific discoveries, Chen replied. And our solar system presents many navigational challenges. Asteroid fields, radiation belts, solar flares. Precision maneuvering saves lives. The demonstration continued, each formation more complex than the last. The human ships moved with a grace that belied their military purpose, executing patterns that Raman had specifically designed to showcase capabilities without revealing tactical applications. Suddenly, alarms sounded throughout the observation deck. Commander Jackson approached Chen, speaking in a deliberately audible voice. "Admiral, we're detecting an unauthorized scanning beam directed at the Resilience. Origin: the Drakari auxiliary vessel." All eyes turned to Vorax, whose scales now pulsed with dark patterns. "A misunderstanding, surely," he said, mandibles clicking rapidly. "Standard protocol for visiting unknown systems. Perhaps on your world," Chen replied evenly. "On ours, scanning military vessels without permission is considered hostile intent." Instead of escalating the confrontation, Chen made an unexpected decision. "However, since this is a diplomatic mission, perhaps this presents an opportunity for demonstration rather than confrontation." She nodded to Commander Jackson, who transmitted a new command. The Resilience activated its quantum shield, which absorbed the scanning beam and redirected it back to its source. The Drakari vessel's scanning systems immediately went offline, its lights flickering momentarily. "A defensive countermeasure," Chen explained. "Non-destructive but effective. Your ship's systems will reset within minutes." The atmosphere in the observation deck grew tense as Zdrav confronted Vorax. "The Confederation does not authorize unilateral intelligence gathering during diplomatic missions. Ambassador, you have violated our protocols." As the aliens argued among themselves, Raman moved closer to Chen. The shield reflected just enough of their scan to disable their systems temporarily, but our analysis team captured the scanning signature. We now know exactly what they were looking for and how their systems operate. Chen's expression remained neutral, but satisfaction gleamed in her eyes. The technological gambit had worked perfectly, revealing human defensive capabilities while simultaneously gathering critical intelligence on Drakari technology. More importantly, it had exposed divisions within the alien delegation that she could leverage in the diplomatic negotiations to come. "Prepare the next phase," she whispered to Raman. "It's time to show them we know more than they think." Admiral Chen stood before a large holographic display in the Resilience's conference room, watching the alien delegates take their seats. The chamber had been specially configured to accommodate the various physiological needs of the Confederation representatives. "Thank you for joining this special presentation," Chen began. "Before we continue our technical discussions, I believe it's important for potential allies to understand each other's cultural context." The display shifted to show Earth from orbit, beautiful and blue. Then it transitioned to historical footage: ancient armies clashing with swords, World War II tanks advancing across battlefields, nuclear explosions blooming like deadly flowers. "Humanity's history has been marked by conflict," Chen explained, watching the aliens carefully. "For millennia, we fought among ourselves for resources, territory, ideology. We nearly destroyed ourselves more than once." The images shifted to the United Nations, the Mars Colony Treaty signing, the Orbital Habitat Accords. Yet each time, we pulled back from the brink. We learned to cooperate, to compromise, to build together rather than tear apart. Chen paused, making eye contact with each delegate. "This duality defines us. We prepare for the worst while striving for peace." High Counselor Zrav's compound eyes shifted, focusing alternately on Chen and the images. "An unusual presentation, Admiral. Most species we encounter emphasize only their achievements, not their struggles." "Understanding comes from honesty," Chen replied. "And I suspect you've already accessed our historical databases since arriving." Vorax's scales darkened slightly, confirmation enough for Chen. Meanwhile, in the communications center several decks below, Dr. Nakamura worked frantically to decode a burst of quantum-encrypted transmissions between the Drakari vessel and locations beyond Neptune. Lieutenant Wang assisted, applying new decryption algorithms developed specifically for this scenario. "I've got it," Nakamura announced, her eyes widening. "They're calling for reinforcements. Battle cruisers hiding in the Kuiper Belt are being activated. Wang immediately relayed this information to Admiral Chen through a secure neural link, a technology the aliens didn't know humans possessed. Chen didn't miss a beat in her presentation, though she received the alarming news. The display now showed simulations of historical human conflicts alongside artistic renderings of potential future peace. As we consider formal relations with the Galactic Confederation, Chen continued smoothly, we hope to contribute our unique perspective. Our scientists have developed technologies that even we didn't anticipate because we approach problems from multiple angles simultaneously. Elder prisma of the lumens emitted light patterns indicating interest. Your species' methodology is indeed unusual. Most civilizations follow predictable development paths, optimizing one approach before exploring alternatives. Efficiency through diversity, Chen suggested. Different minds see different solutions. Zrav moved closer to the display, examining the human conflict simulations with analytical interest. Your military strategies reflect this same principle. Unpredictable, adaptive. A necessity born from fighting ourselves, Chen acknowledged. We learned warfare from the most dangerous opponent possible, other humans. As the presentation concluded, Zrav approached Chen privately while the other delegates mingled. Admiral, I sense there is more to this demonstration than cultural exchange. Chen met the alien's compound gaze steadily. High Counselor, in the spirit of transparency between potential allies, I should inform you that we've detected increased activity from Drakari vessels beyond Neptune. Zrav's mandibles clicked in what Raman had identified as alarm. Impossible. This mission is strictly diplomatic. Perhaps not everyone received the same briefing, Chen suggested, or perhaps some have their own agenda. The neural link activated again, Wang's voice in Chen's mind. Admiral, Drakari warships have entered slip space. Projected destination, Mars orbit. ETA, 40 minutes. Chen maintained her diplomatic composure, though inwardly she prepared for the confrontation to come. High Counselor, I believe we need to discuss contingency plans. It appears some members of your delegation may have misinterpreted Earth's technological demonstrations. What do you mean, Admiral? Zrav asked. Drakari warships are on approach to Mars, Chen stated flatly. Either you were unaware, which suggests a breakdown in Confederation command structure, or you were aware, which raises different concerns about this diplomatic mission. Zrav's exoskeleton stiffened. This is not Confederation sanctioned. I must contact the Council immediately. As Zrav hurried away, Commander Jackson approached Chen. Admiral, our contingency plans. Activate Protocol Aegis, Chen ordered quietly. The Mars defense grid remains cloaked until my command. And deploy our fleet from behind Saturn. Standard formation, visible approach. It's time to show our strength, but not all of it. Not yet. The diplomatic dance was ending. Chen had known from the beginning that first contact was unlikely to remain peaceful indefinitely. Now the true test would begin, not just of human military capability, but of their strategic foresight and diplomatic skill. Across the solar system, Earth's hidden defenses prepared for the coming confrontation. The command deck of the Resilience transformed into a war room as tactical displays showed 6 Drakari warships emerging from slip space near Mars. Their sleek, predatory design suggested vessels built purely for combat, unlike the multi-purpose Confederation ships that had first approached Earth. Mars Colony reports all civilians moving to subsurface shelters, Commander Jackson reported. Defense grid remains in passive mode, cloaked as ordered. Admiral Chen nodded, her face illuminated by the holographic displays. Status of our fleet. 20 warships have emerged from Saturn's shadow, approaching at standard combat speed. 10 remain in reserve position, cloaked. High Counselor Zrav entered the command deck, accompanied by Elder Prisma and Flow Director Mist. Vorax was conspicuously absent. Admiral Chen. Zrav's translator conveyed urgency in the insectoid's clicking speech. I've received confirmation from the Galactic Council. The Drakari actions are unauthorized, Ambassador Vorex has been operating outside Confederation protocols. Yet they fly ships bearing Confederation markings, Chen observed. The Drakari serve as our security forces, Elder Prisma explained, light patterns pulsing rapidly. They maintain a degree of operational autonomy that has, perhaps, been excessive. On the main display, the Drakari commander, Supreme Huntmaster Skaz, appeared, a larger, more heavily armored version of Vorex, with ceremonial scaring across his scales. Civilization of Earth. The translation came through. Your technological advancement has been deemed destabilizing to galactic order. The Drakari Protectorate will now implement containment protocols for the safety of all species. Surrender your military vessels and accept Drakari's supervision of your further development. Before Chen could respond, the Drakari ships launched a barrage of energy weapons toward the Mars research outposts. The delegates gasped as the beams approached the red planet, then watched in shock as the attacks simply vanished mere kilometers above the Martian surface. Quantum disruption field, Chen explained calmly. It redirects energy weapons into subspace. We installed the system after detecting your long-range scans years ago. She turned to face the alien delegates directly. We've known about the Confederation for longer than you realize. We've been preparing while you've been watching. Chen opened a channel to respond to the Drakari ultimatum. Huntmaster Skaz, Earth rejects your containment protocols. Your actions constitute an act of war against a sovereign species. However, we offer one opportunity to withdraw your forces and pursue diplomatic resolution. The Drakari commander's scales flared with bioluminescent patterns of rage. Primitive species do not dictate terms to the Drakari. As you wish, Chen replied. She nodded to her tactical officer. Execute Athena Protocol. Around Mars, hundreds of previously invisible platforms suddenly appeared, surrounding the Drakari ships in a three-dimensional grid. Before the alien vessels could react, the platforms activated, generating intersecting fields of quantum entanglement. The Drakari ships' engines flared as they attempted to break free, but the more energy they expended, the stronger the entanglement fields became. Within moments, their weapons and propulsion systems went dormant, trapped in a state of quantum uncertainty. What have you done? Zrav asked, compound eyes widening. Quantum entanglement generators, Chen explained. Your ships can still maintain life support and communications, but weapons and propulsion are temporarily locked in a probability field. No destruction, no casualties. The human fleet arrived, taking position around the immobilized Drakari vessels. Not shots fired, no lives lost, yet Earth's defensive capability had been demonstrated beyond question. Your entire strategy was defensive, Elder Prisma observed, light patterns indicating what Raman had identified as amazement. You could have destroyed their ships, yet you chose restraint. Destruction is easy, Chen replied. Coexistence is the true challenge. We've had enough practice fighting wars to know the value of avoiding them when possible. On the display, Huntmaster Skaz raged impotently as his mighty warships hung powerless in Martian orbit. Chen opened a channel to address the Drakari commander once more. Your crew will remain safe and comfortable until the Confederation Council determines an appropriate resolution. Consider this an opportunity to reconsider your approach to emerging civilizations. Chen turned to the alien delegates who watched with a mixture of shock and newfound respect. Now, High Counselor Zrav, I believe it's time for some candid discussion about the true nature of the Galactic Confederation and humanity's place in the wider galaxy. As the command deck shifted back to diplomatic configuration, Raman caught Chen's eye with a subtle nod. The calculated response had worked perfectly, demonstrating Earth's technological superiority and moral restraint simultaneously. The next phase of negotiations would begin from a position of strength, rather than the subordinate role the Confederation had initially envisioned for humanity. The conference room aboard the Resilience fell silent as Dr. Nakamura's presentation concluded. The holographic display showed irrefutable evidence. encrypted communications between certain Confederation factions planning to limit technological development across multiple species, manipulating advancement rates to maintain established power hierarchies. High Counselor Zrav's exoskeleton had taken on a grayish hue, what Raman had identified as the Arthean equivalent of pallor. These records, how did you acquire them? Quantum resonance interception, Dr. Nakamura explained. When your ships use quantum entanglement for communication, there are subtle echoes in subspace. We developed detection systems after discovering similar patterns in our own experiments. Elder Prisma's crystalline structure pulsed with rapid light patterns. This explains the stagnation in collaborative research over the past 3 centuries. Projects that showed promise would mysteriously lose funding or encounter technical limitations. Flow Director Mist's gaseous form swirled agitatedly in its containment suit. The Vaporans suspected manipulation. Our theoretical advancements in energy conversion were consistently dismissed as impractical by the Drakari-led research councils. Admiral Chen let the implications sink in before speaking. It appears certain factions within your confederation have been engineering technological development to maintain their advantageous position. She walked to the viewport, gazing out at the stars. Humanity has experienced similar patterns in our own history. Powerful nations sometimes suppress the advancement of others to maintain dominance. We learned, eventually, that collaborative progress benefits everyone far more than controlled development. The quantum communicator chimed, signaling an incoming transmission from Earth. General Wei's holographic form appeared, his expression solemn. Admiral Chen, the United Defense Council has reviewed your reports and the current situation. You are authorized to extend Proposal Omega to the Confederation representatives. Chen nodded as the transmission ended. She turned to face the alien delegates. The current circumstances present both a crisis and an opportunity. Instead of Earth simply joining your existing Confederation structure, we propose an alternative path forward. The holographic display shifted to show a new organizational framework, a revised galactic governance structure that emphasized collaborative research, technological exchange, and mutual defense without hierarchical control. A galactic alliance, Chen explained, built on principles of mutual advancement rather than managed progress. Each species contributes their unique perspectives and innovative approaches for the benefit of all. Zrav studied the proposal, compound eyes shifting rapidly. This would require significant reorganization of established Confederation structures. Many powerful interests would resist, including those who benefit from the current arrangement, Chen acknowledged. But consider the alternatives. The evidence of manipulation is now available to all Confederation species, and Earth has demonstrated that we won't accept a subordinate position. She gestured to the tactical display showing the disabled Drakari fleet. We chose a non-destructive response today. But make no mistake, humanity will defend its sovereignty. We would prefer to be allies rather than adversaries. Elder Prisma approached the holographic display, light patterns indicating deep consideration. The Lumens have long advocated for more collaborative approaches. This framework aligns with our philosophical principles of shared illumination. The Vaporans would support restructuring as well, Flow Director Mist added, its gaseous form settling into more stable patterns. Our collective research potential has been artificially constrained for too long. Zrav's mandibles clicked in a pattern that Raman recognized as indicating internal conflict. I must consult with the full council. This goes beyond my authority as diplomatic representative. Of course, Chen agreed. In the meantime, we have a more immediate situation to resolve. She nodded toward the tactical display, showing the immobilized Drakari vessels. What does the Confederation propose to do about their unauthorized aggression? The question hung in the air, forcing the delegates to take a position on the Drakari actions. Chen had maneuvered the diplomatic situation perfectly, presenting evidence of manipulation, offering a constructive alternative, and requiring immediate accountability. Lieutenant Commander Raman observed the aliens' responses with careful attention. He noted the subtle shifts in posture and communication patterns that suggested realignment was already beginning. species that had long accepted Dracari dominance were reconsidering their positions. As the delegates conferred among themselves, Dr. Nakamura approached Chen privately. "Admiral, we've detected unusual quantum fluctuations from the direction of Neptune. Analysis suggests multiple vessels preparing for slip space transit, significantly larger than the Dracari warships we've encountered." Chen's expression remained neutral, but her mind raced through contingency plans. The diplomatic maneuver had succeeded in dividing the Confederation representatives, but the true test was still to come. Whoever controlled those ships approaching from Neptune would determine whether first contact ended in alliance or conflict. The command deck of the Resilience hummed with controlled tension as massive alien vessels emerged from slip space near Neptune. They dwarfed both the human ships and the Dracari warships, their designs suggesting ancient construction with technology far beyond anything yet encountered. Confederation Oversight Council vessels, High Counselors Rav explained, mandibles clicking nervously, the highest governing authority. They rarely intervened directly in diplomatic matters. Admiral Chen's expression remained composed despite the escalation. Are they responding to the Dracari situation, or to our proposal? Both, most likely. Elder Prisma's light patterns indicated concern. The Council must have been monitoring all communications. The largest vessel transmitted a communication request. The holographic display activated, revealing a collective of diverse alien forms, representatives from species that appeared even more exotic than those in the diplomatic delegation. "Greetings, civilization of Earth," a harmonized voice translated. "We are the Oversight Council of the Galactic Confederation. Recent events have necessitated our direct intervention." Chen stepped forward. "Admiral Kira Chen, representing Earth. We welcome dialogue with the Council." The lead council member, a being of shifting luminescent patterns, addressed the gathered delegates. "The unauthorized military action by the Dracari Protectorate has been condemned. Their leadership will face consequences for violating our most sacred principles of non-intervention." Chen noticed subtle reactions among the delegates, relief from some, disappointment from others. However, the council member continued, "We must also address the evidence presented regarding technological suppression within our governance structure." A moment of silence followed. Chen exchanged glances with Ramen, both recognizing the pivotal moment unfolding. "After reviewing the quantum resonance data provided by Earth scientists, we acknowledge systematic manipulation has occurred." The council members' form pulsed with what appeared to be regret. The Confederation was founded on principles of shared advancement. "We have strayed from that vision." Elder Prisma moved forward, light patterns intensifying. "Then you will consider the restructuring proposal." "We will do more than consider it," another council member responded. "The evidence is compelling enough to warrant immediate reform. The framework proposed by Earth provides a foundation we can build upon." Admiral Chen maintained diplomatic composure, but satisfaction gleamed in her eyes. The gambit had succeeded beyond expectation. High Counselor Zrav turned to Chen. "It seems humanity's first contact with our civilization may transform both our societies." "That's often how progress works," Chen replied. "New perspectives challenge established patterns." 6 months later, the United Nations headquarters in New York hosted the inaugural summit of the new Galactic Alliance. The Grand Assembly Hall had been retrofitted with environmental adaptations for 23 different species. Admiral Chen, now serving as Earth's first galactic ambassador, stood at the podium before the diverse gathering. "Today marks not just the formal introduction of humanity to the galactic community," she began, "but the beginning of a new approach to cooperation among all our civilizations." High Counselor Zrav, now serving as transition coordinator for the reformed Confederation, joined her at the podium. Together they activated the ceremonial interface, bringing the Foundation Treaty into effect. The document established principles of technological exchange without suppression, collaborative defense without dominance, and mutual respect for cultural development without interference. Ships bearing the new Alliance insignia already orbited Earth, crewed by mixed species teams. In an unexpected diplomatic gesture, a new Drakari representative approached the podium. The replacement for the disgraced Vorax vowed in the human manner before addressing the assembly. The Drakari acknowledge our error in approaching Earth with dominance rather than partnership, the representative stated. We request the opportunity to contribute our strengths to collective security under the new protocols of equality. Chen nodded acceptance. The path to reconciliation had begun. As the ceremony concluded, Dr. Nakamura unveiled the Alliance's first collaborative project, a translation matrix incorporating quantum resonance technology that would allow all member species to communicate without interpretive barriers. Lieutenant Commander Raman, now heading Earth's new Interspecies Intelligence Cooperation Division, transmitted his final report to United Defense Command. First Contact Threat Assessment. Resolved. Diplomatic status. Alliance established. Technological position. Collaborative advancement initiated. Human survival prediction. Significantly improved through cosmic partnership. Admiral Chen took a moment alone on the observation deck that evening, gazing at the unprecedented gathering of alien vessels orbiting Earth peacefully. The stars no longer represented unknown threats, but new frontiers for cooperative exploration. First contact had begun with warships in tension, but ended with something far more powerful, a recognition across species that diversity of thought and approach created stronger civilizations than uniformity ever could. Humanity's unique perspective had not just earned them a place among the stars, it had transformed the very nature of galactic cooperation. And that, Shen reflected as she watched a mixed human-alien crew board, a joint research vessel, was the greatest victory of all.